Good morning, everyone. It's Mrs. Kardos, and I just want to go over some of the problems that some of you are having difficulty with on the last mystery picture that we did. So what we've been talking about is solving word problems using proportions. So grab your supplies, your paper, your pencil, your notes, and let's get into it. So our lesson target is that students will be able to solve for missing information in a word problem using a proportion. And we're going to show that by doing some practice problems. So if you did the mystery picture, this is the mystery picture that you were working on. And if you're a teacher watching this video, it will be available in my TPT store for you to purchase. But you can see that they've given us some directions, and let me see if I can zoom in on those directions. So you're going to solve each word problem using a proportion like the one below, and be sure to show your work on a separate piece of paper. And you need to make sure that when you write the proportion, that your proportion actually works and gets you the answer that you have on your screen. So an important thing is to figure out what the two things are that we're talking about, the labels, and then we're going to have three numbers and a variable. And they could be in any one of those particular spots. They don't have to be in just the same spot. The variable can move around. So if you clicked on the reference sheet at the bottom of the mystery picture, then you could see the example problem that you were given. The ratio of dogs to cats in the shelter is 5 to 7. If there are 30 dogs in the shelter, how many cats are there? So you can see the two things that we're talking about are dogs to cats. And one of the places where I've seen students making mistakes is they don't know which of these numbers is the dog and which is the cat. So since they said the word dogs first, that means there are 5 dogs. And since they said cats second, that means there are 7 cats. And then the third number in the problem would just be the 30 dogs. So we would set up our proportion. We have our two labels. We have the dogs and the cats, and the ratio of dogs to cats, again, is 5 to 7. And then the third number in the problem was 30 dogs. And remember, you want to write dogs next to dogs, cats next to cats. And you could pick any variable. I just used a C since we are talking about cats. And there are 2 steps when we're solving these problems. The first one is cross multiply. The second one is to divide. So when we cross multiply 5 times C, we just get 5C. And when we cross multiply 7 times 30, we get 210. So that was step 1, cross multiply. And then step 2 is that you're just going to divide. Remember, you're going to put the 210 in the calculator first, and you're going to divide that by the 5. So the cats would be 42 cats. If there are 30 dogs, there would be 42 cats. Now, this is not the only way to solve this problem. You can also use scale up to solve this problem. But remember, scale up and scale down does not work on every problem, and we are in particular practicing cross multiply and divide strategy, or the means and extreme strategy. So that is the strategy I did ask you to use. All right, so I'm going to go over just 2 or 3 of these problems that you guys seem to have difficulty with and see if I can help you set them up. So question number 6 says a certain dealership sells both cars and trucks. The ratio of cars to trucks on the lot is 5 to 2. If there is a total of 154 vehicles on the lot, how many of those vehicles are trucks? Now, I told you guys in class, I always like to look for the words in the question, because that's going to help me decide what labels I want on my problem. So I know we're talking about vehicles and trucks. And remember, a vehicle could be a car or a truck. So I want to know how many of the vehicles are trucks. So I'm going to make that one label. And you could put total vehicles, but I'm just going to write vehicles because of space. So now I have my labels. I have to pick out my 3 numbers and my variable. So it says the ratio of cars to trucks. So that tells me that the cars is 5 and the trucks are 2. So I'm going to put a 2 here. And the most common place that I see you guys going wrong is you're writing a 5 here, and that is not correct. 5 would be for the cars, not for the total vehicles. The total vehicles would be if I add the cars and the trucks together, so you should have a 7 here. And then the other number in the problem, 154 vehicles, would go here. You could use any variable, but I'm going to use a T for trucks. Now, I'm not actually going to work this through and solve it for you because I feel like you can do those 2 steps, the cross, multiply, and divide. But if for some reason you do have trouble with that, you know you can always come and see me and I'll help you with it. So let's see if I can help you set up question number 8. Question number 8 says a piece of rope measuring 13.4 centimeters weighs 5.6 grams. How much will a 308.2 centimeter length of the same rope weigh? So we really have 2 units that we're talking about. We're talking about the length and we're talking about the weight. And those are being measured in centimeters and grams. So those are the 2 things I'm going to use for my labels. And the first ratio they give me is 13.4 centimeters to 5.6 grams. And then the third number is 308.2 centimeters. And then you're just going to pick a variable. And I am going to pick G since we will be measuring it in gram. But again, you could use whatever letter you want. Now, also remember, you could put the grams in the top and the centimeters in the bottom, and it will not change your answer as long as you have the numbers written next to the correct label. So this is just one way to set up the problem. And again, you're going to want to cross, multiply, and divide. All right, and the last problem I'm going to talk about really quick that you guys seem to have trouble setting up was the question number 9, the one about the flowers. It says the ratio of pink flowers to purple flowers in the garden is 2 to 3. So we have pink and we have purple. So the pink is going to be 2, the purple would be 3. And it says if there are 100 flowers total in the garden, how many of them are purple? So I know I'm going to want the purple label. And I'm also going to want total flowers. And I just have to set up my proportion. So purple, remember, was the 3. And total flowers, well, if there are 2 pink and 3 purple, that would be 5. And the third number in the problem is 100. You could pick whatever variable you want, but again, I am going to pick P for purple. And then from here, it would just be calculator work. You would cross, multiply, and divide. So yeah, we were able to solve for missing information in a word problem using a proportion. And you're going to successfully demonstrate this by completing the practice problems. So again, make sure that you are showing your work for this particular mystery picture on a separate sheet of paper. And if you have any questions, make sure you come and see me. Thanks, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.